Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode number 30 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube, as always, with host Stefan Loeffler at Junk Wax Twins, Ben Wilson at our trading cards. I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors, and we hope to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting tonight. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on YouTube. You can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We're available on iTunes and Stitcher, and also subscribe to us here on YouTube because that way you'll get a notification when we go live. What's up, fellas? I missed you last week. How are we doing?
You know you didn't miss both of us. You only
missed both of us.
You can admit it.
Sure enough, did miss you.
Well, hey, real quick, I wanted to bring in some special guests because last week I was out celebrating this young lady's birthday.
Happy 18th.
My beautiful wife Bianca, and that's
Hi,
our little guy.
Hi, Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
He's 9 months old today.
Hi, Bobby.
Hey, happy birthday!
So he's 9 months old, so he's becoming a little monster, and we love him. But she wanted to come on and say hello and thank you for the shout out. She listened to the show for the first time or watched it live last week, and then this week she's on. So
cool.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Well, happy birthday in person, even though it's a week late.
So yeah, she's only a day under 40, right? I'm kidding.
18.
18. Day over 18.
I have a couch you're welcome to come stay on if you keep that up.
I'm gonna have to save my car probably. So
All right, bye guys.
have a good night, guys.
Bye, have a good night. Bye, Robbie.
So yeah, he's the big Willie Mays collector in the house. He has more Willie Mays cards than I do. And we're nice enough today. If you check out my timeline, Gypsy Oak sent some amazing cards, some Brett cards for me, but some amazing Willie Mays for Robbie. And one's like this amazing photo. And I can't wait to find a frame or something to display it in his room with his other ones. So thank you very much. I definitely appreciate that. Check out Gypsy Oak on Twitter. Wonderful artwork and cards. So outstanding. So like I said, guys, I missed you last week, and it wasn't the same being on, but I was trying to hit you up and give you some trouble calling you nerds and that kind of thing, but didn't seem to really get a good reaction from you. So
we were very serious. We are 100% serious on this podcast.
Yeah,
especially me. Steph can come too.
I'm just excited because today I saw the box of what Flagship 19 is going to look like.
Yes, it did.
And just got me a little excited, a little pumped up. This week I saw that monster purchase I made for $20 this summer. I finally sorted it all, shipped out 10, 11 boxes. I got a couple going out tomorrow, I believe. A few teams left. If not by Saturday, they're going to one of our buddies, Scott, here in Sacramento. So I'll take one of the Pirates because I'll take whatever's left over. So Saturday morning, I'm taking a truckload of cards over to the card show, and he's going to take them. I have some for Ben and Brian. I'm going to videotape them bum fighting for the A's cards. And then,
I don't think I've met Scott, so that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, he met us. He met up with us at the last show you were not at, and came up and we talked. He's a nice guy, and it was fun. So I'm excited now. Steph has a picture of the box. It has two of the greatest Yankees of all time on here.
Aaron Judge, Yankees.
Aaron Judge and Babe Ruth. I don't understand.
Babe Ruth can have a base card.
Somebody asked in here why they didn't put Mookie Betts on the box, right?
Yankees cover.
Yeah, because Yankees didn't do too much last year, and Judge just kind of had an okay season. But Betts was the MVP, right? And the team won the World Series. Wouldn't you think that team should be on the the Betts should be on the cover?
Actually, the A's won it as long as we were allowed to include video games. So in my world, I go based off of what happened in the show.
That's the only
time the A's win the World.
That's fine. Yeah. Don't win it every day then. So is Babe Ruth going to be in the set then, since he's featured? I imagine
it's got to be a short print.
He'll have a short print, probably a couple of relics or something.
I don't like when they put the all-time greats in like a 2019 design. It just, to me, makes me want to vomit. So
I did like a few years back when it initially launched the short print concept as the Legends of the Game as a parallel to say number 250. But it's kind of overplayed by now.
Yeah, very true.
So
very true.
Our buddy Matthew said that he would pay to see me and Brian duke it out over McGuire cards. So I'm fielding offers right now.
It's funny you say that because Matthew did send you some McGuire cards that I have not given you yet because we haven't seen each other. And so they're in there. So I might let the winner just take the McGuire cards no matter if Matthew decided to send them to you or not, because I have a box for Brian that he sent as well. And then we also have cards from Jenny that I've had forever that you've seen, but we need to sort them out. So I did that, and now I'm going to bring those to you. So I have a lot of cards I'm going to use the card show to get rid of, so my wife can, again, at least think I'm trying to move stuff out of this room, which I just keep adding.
Yeah, you're safe because she's only watched the show last week.
She doesn't know how to get on. She doesn't know how to find it anyway. So
that's awesome.
That has been.
Yeah.
So
I finally figured it out myself, so I'm pretty cool.
Let's do this. Let's hop into the week that was last week's releases. So we had an interesting Topps Living week, and I'm sad I wasn't on because we got some good responses on Twitter before the show last week. So Topps Living week of December ended was January. I have the wrong information here. Week 43. We had 12,849 cards. It was a 36 best week out of the 43 so far. Card 127 was Chris Bryant, third baseman of the Chicago Cubs, sold just over 5,300. He was the 57th most popular card. Eugenio Suarez, card 128, third baseman for the Reds, sold a little over 37,000 cards. He fells 115. And then pitcher, card number 129, Matthew Boyd of the Tigers, who, when I said, who the hell's Matthew Boyd, he actually tweeted that, I don't know. And so based on that, I just bought one of his cards this morning with half an hour to go and picked one of his cards up. So he sold 3,720 cards, and he finished at 117. So he would have had 3,719 if I decided not to buy. We are at 851,000 and some change cards sold so far. And
that's it.
Yeah. What happened to... Yeah, there weren't any new releases last week, huh?
No, there wasn't any. We talked a little bit about...
None.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about some things that are coming out this week. More about Leaf, because we were kind of already on the topic, so we didn't have any pricing or anything, though.
Yes, and Matthew, I'll remind you to buy your set from Brent Becca for Series 1. Awesome if you're looking to get team sets, or is a quick advertisement, not that he pays us for this, just because he's a good guy. He'll have team sets and complete sets available, and he gets them out pretty quick, and they're always in great shape. So check him out for those for Series 1. So let's hop into hot off the presses this week's releases. So interesting week, Topps Living, the 44th week. No rookies and no retired players, no Hall of Famers this week, all active guys. So card 130 is George Springer, outfielder, Houston Astros. He's our fourth Astro. Card 131, Will Myers, first baseman, San Diego Padres. Our sixth Padre. Let that sink in. 6 Padres.
Are there 6 Padres collectors?
And not one of them is Eric Hosmer, so who might be the biggest name on the team. Anyway, card 132 is Daniel Megden, pitcher, Oakland Athletics. He's the 6th Athletic on the set. So I know Ben is going to hop in and buy a pile of Daniel Megnans here, right? Because he's got that cool.
I only buy one. Although, with FanFest coming up, I might buy a second one. But the thing is, I don't think it'll get here quick enough. Because that'd be kind of a cool card to have him autograph.
When's your FanFest?
It's the 26th, so I don't think it'll be here on time.
If you bought it directly from Topps, you would get it by then. But that you'd have to spend $8. So,
because that's the thing, there's no guarantee that he'll be there. I don't know if he's been announced, but then you also have to meet him. And a lot of it, if you've never been to a fan fest, at least the way the A's work, is you go get in the line and it's a couple of players, and depending on how long the line is, it might be a couple of different players because those guys run on cycles.
Yeah.
So they're only there for 45 minutes or an hour. Right. I know that there was I forget John Odom, and there was another guy escapes me who it was that was signing. So I was all excited to meet Odom, and right before we got up there, they switched over to Jed Lowry and one of the relief pitchers. So his name was Chris something. He got him for the Dodgers. He was forgettable. But that's the thing is, there's no way to know who you're going to get a chance to meet.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, we were over by the porta potties because Bentley had some sticky, so we needed to go find some water. And Matt Williams walks by to his car. He kind of ducked out early. So I had a chance to talk to him for a second as he was walking to his car.
Nice.
Yeah.
I see Dodger Dennis. He is watching us while sorting 92 Donruss, which is cool because I just
for those INC and INC period variations.
Oh, that knowledge is deep. I mean, you should have a job somewhere in the industry.
I know.
I just got into the mail today. I got the 92 Diamond Kings set. I bought online the other day. I just love those cards because they were they weren't part of the regular set. They were a secondary part. So
insert
set. Yeah. So it was I think the first year that they did that. So really cool. I'm excited to have it.
Leaves. Yes. 92.
Yep. So back to Topps Living. This is the first week. I don't think. Well, besides the first week when I didn't buy any because I'm a dum. This is the first week I don't think I'm going to buy a card because there's no rookie and there's not a veteran or a Giant or a Royal on here that's spurning me to hop in.
Not even Will Myers.
No.
Former Royal.
He's a prospect. We traded him for guys that helped us win the World Series.
I mean, he would, but then if he goes to a fan fest, all he'd get was a WM.
Yeah. I have an autograph of Will Myers on a Chrome card. It's not too bad. So, I think we're going to see a week where everybody's been up 37. That's been about the number lately. It's about 3,700 because I believe, there's probably that's where we're going to see these numbers out through the off season until we get to spring training.
This is a week that'll sell about, 10 to 12. You're going to have right around 3,500, I imagine. I don't see any of the three selling. The only thing that Mingdon has is because of his cool ass stash. There might be a handful of people that want to collect that because it is a cool looking card, but I don't see that moving the needle more than 3 to 5% over.
You think Tanner does because of the stash?
Tanner might. I mean, Tanner being infamous for his mustache, which I don't believe he has at the moment. He might, but again, we didn't see a big bump for guys like Ripken and Ryan, who are historically, legends, in the hobby, as well as Hall of Famers. If they're not getting a tremendous bump, I don't think a mustache on a pitcher who might not have that long of a career. I mean, he's right now one of the only starting pitchers the A's have in their rotation. That's tested at all. So there's that, but outside of the Oakland market, I don't see a big following for him.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I'm still hoping. We're not going to have any rookies here probably until at least spring training, and I got a list of who I think they're going to be coming up. So we'll see. Also, this week coming out, actually today was 2018 Leaf Ultimate Draft Baseball, $125 a box, 1 pack per box, 6 cards per pack. Was last released in 2015. They've only made 200 cases, which means 2,400 boxes. So a very limited print run. 6 autograph cards. It honors the past designs of 91, 92, and 93 Leaf, and Leaf 93 Leaf Black. Some of the rookies in there, you're going to see a Kuna and an Otani, some prospects, Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette, draft picks like Joey Bart and Alex Baum. So it's going to have those old designs with the autographs, so neat looking cards. Because those are some cool designs, especially those 92 Leaf Black. Those were a really awesome looking set back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, this week coming out on Friday is 2018 Panini Contenders Football. It's already been a retail for 2 weeks, so you've probably gotten a taste of it or so. It's going to be about $200 a box. You're getting 18 packs per box, 6 cards per pack, 5 autograph cards, 18 inserts, and 1 parallel. And you're getting 100 base cards, 6 ticket parallels, and they're all vets. There's 40 rookie ticket RPS autograph cards in that set. Those are the top rookie premier players. They have 7 parallels to that. There's 40 photo variations. Then there's another 88 rookie ticket autograph set, and they have 6 parallels. Altogether, there's over 10 autograph sets, 2 mem sets, and an insert set, which is the golden ticket set, which is 20 cards, and they're all one-of-ones. So the premier guys there's only 40 of them versus the 88 non-premier guys. So you're talking defensive players, undrafted players. Those guys are going to be probably more prevalent than the guys that were at the rookie premier, your quarterbacks, your receivers, your running backs. So Barkley, Rosen, Darnold, all those fun guys there. Jackson, I think he's even more limited. What I found funny is at Zach Fowl, Big Z tweeted out earlier this week, his contenders, he got a box of contenders and he had 6 hits in it. He already got his box. 2 rookie tickets of Packers wide receiver Jake Crumrow, who was an undrafted player in 2015, but it was a rookie card in 2018 because he'd been on a bunch of practice squads. 2 rookie tickets of Titans linebacker Rashad Evans, who's a first-round pick in 2018. And 2, we're going to pull it up here on the screen, the picture, 2 400-point Panini point cards. That's what he got for his $200 box or whatever he paid for a box, but, it's going for around $200. So, really? Like, where's the and this is just one box. Don't get me wrong, guys. But what
800 Panini points will buy you like 7 or 8 or 10 crappy relics?
Well, that or you probably could get like 3 or 4 of these guys each on that site.
That's right. That's right. Just wait a couple months and whatever gets pulled will end up on there anyway. So yeah, Panini in this point system is an absolute mess. I mean, it really is.
But how do you have 2 of the same guys in the odd? Like, really?
I mean, I've had some boxes that were kind of suspect as far as inserts and base cards, but to have the exact same everything per box, auto and at least the reward wise, that's tough. It's just real bad, either from a collation standpoint or just in their pack up process.
Yeah,
that should be something that got caught.
Yep. Now the one thing is that Rob Sports Cards here, chaps, and with the Colts linebacker, the All-Pro rookie linebacker Darius Leonard. God, this guy's a beast. His already going for crazy money out of contenders, and so he's one of those 88 rookie ticket guys. He's not even a one of the premier guys. So that's good. That's good news because he was like a 2nd-round pick. So he might be more available in the set in those boxes. So that, then also too, guys, we have coming out this week, 2018-19 Panini Dominion basketball comes out Friday. $280 a box, 1 pack per box, 6 cards per pack. You're getting 3 autograph cards. This does include a really good signature collection, including the first on-card rookie autographs and relics of the season for these guys, and 1 mem card. Now, I would talk more about the set, but there's no checklist. And for a $300 product that comes out in 2 days. So
I think I saw someone talking about it earlier. It may not be posted on their website.
Yeah, so I mean, this is as of about 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock this afternoon. Here in Cali. It was the last time I looked, but I couldn't believe that. I've been looking for like the last week. And no checklist, but yet breakers are going to have it listed because they need to sell those spots and break the product the day it comes out so it can get shipped out and turned around and flipped and flopped. And
without a checklist, how do you? I
guess you go off old product or the product from this year, who's been in there.
See, when I used to actively be in breaks, routinely, release after release, there were a couple of times checklists hadn't come out and the A's were $55 for a case, and I'm like, there's literally 1 or 2 junk autos in there. That should be, $15 to $20. And then after the product came out, it was, corrected. But people absolutely took it when they paid these overinflated prices. And it wasn't the fault of the breaker, because you understand how the breaker gets to their price. You take $1,000 case plus X amount of dollars in additional overhead, and then you divide it by 30 teams in baseball, and there's your average price. And then you start adjusting from there. If you got to get to $1,200 and every team is, say $50, now the Yankees can command 80. Therefore, now you can lower a team down to 20, and whatever percentage of profit you expect to get out of that product. So, I mean, I understand how they have to price their pricing model, but without a checklist, you have no idea.
Yeah, it's a little hard too,
especially if you're going to overinflate some of these teams. I mean, I'm going to put $100 on the Yankees. Really? Well, what if the Yankees aren't really populated in that particular release? It's a mess.
It is. So no, just interesting. Steph, were you able to find anything?
Nope. No checklist available on the website.
Awesome. What was the one resolution we wanted for Panini? Oh, checklist.
We just wanted checklist.
Off to a banging up start week 1 here.
I mean, unless you count this as the checklist.
That's exactly what I count every time. Nothing.
Yes, we're going to move on to next week's releases. What's brewing? All right, and that was it. Hope you didn't miss it. There's nothing listed that's coming out next week. There's some non-sports or entertainment cards coming out next week, but the only one we ever cared about was Stranger Things, right? We have a big.
We need more in the non-sports. I mean, this past week, my wife opened up. For Christmas, I got her the horror box of Garbage Pail Kids, and a box of Stranger Things, and a box of American Horror Story Season 1, which she ended up pulling 2 autos and a relic out of, a dual relic at that. But it's kind of cool seeing the non-sports stuff and seeing, a variety of cards that typically aren't collected by a lot of people we associate with. And it's a small niche market to begin with. I mean, there's not a lot of non-sport collectors. They're out there, but there's not a website where you can go complete your insert sets. I mean, when I bought some boxes off of Blowout Cards a few months back, Beach Boys, some of the insert sets were phenomenal. And I went out and tried to find the insert sets, and I ended up having to buy them complete from Lodi Sports Cards because I wasn't going to be able to piece them together. You just weren't finding singles.
Yeah.
Well, upcoming non-sport that I'm looking forward to that I'll probably end up blowing a whole ton of paychecks over. I know Rittenhouse last year finished up all through season 11, but Upper Deck now has the license to produce the X-Files series. And I got a picture pulled up here, dual auto, Dana Scully, Fox Mulder. Yes, please.
That's going to sell for huge money because of who it is.
Yeah, one of the shows that never got into, though.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not supernatural type fan, so yeah, the X-Files was
Supernatural on me is my athletic ability, which is now gone.
The opposite of good.
Yeah. So we do have a huge Infield chat in our Hobby Talk section this week. Quite a few things. So the first one, we're leading off here with an interesting sport. And this is for Ken Kinsley. The hockey exclusive was renewed. So per Leaf, at Leaf_cards, who still has me blocked, Upper Deck has renewed the exclusive license. Steph had to send me a picture of the tweet because I can't see it. Sources close to the situation, Upper Deck has renewed their hockey exclusive. Steph, you're our hockey expert.
Yep.
Surprising?
Not really, because Upper Deck is doing a really, really good job at it. It's not like baseball where there's a kind of wiggle room for Panini to etch their way in and Leaf to etch their way in. Hockey is a great sport for quick action shots, and Upper Deck is just the top tier of action shots. Sorry, Stadium Club, I love you, but Upper Deck photography is top tier as well. And as far as the breakdown on boxes and the amount of stuff that they release, I'm not surprised at all.
Yep. No, it's cool. I mean, they do have, in the Series 1 and their Series 2 are very popular, but they have the Young Guns, and that's like
the cup.
What's in the cup. But the Young Guns are the ones that you want. That's like the rookie card to have, right, in hockey. Yep. So, but it's in an affordable product where the cup is, sell your house affordable.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too. Unlike in baseball and basketball and football, hockey stipulated that the card manufacturers, in this case Upper Deck, could not produce a card until they at least appeared in a game. Now, whether that means that they hold them out for the next year's release, or if Series 2 is a huge push, naturally. But I like that stipulation. It lends well to the hobby, I think, and I wish the other leagues would adopt it.
Yeah, I think it's a neat rule. I do like it quite a bit. It makes sense. It keeps it pretty smart, but we'll see. I don't think it's ever going to change though for baseball. I'm telling you that right now. So,
well, no, but I mean that's where you get the Young Gun series, in particular.
So this kind of ties into this next segment. I was blocked by a collector on Twitter this week that I've never talked to.
Not Ben. You were blocked.
I was blocked, and I was blocked by @CardConnector. Sell Your Cards is like the header, and I believe it's because I'm following and I'm followed by @Cards from Attic. So I guess there was some beef between them about a PTSD cat and military or something. I have no idea. I don't have time to get through somebody's some Twitter fights. I just kind of walk away when I see them go back and forth. But I got blocked because I follow someone, and the reason I follow Cards from the Attic is because he's hooked me up some great cards in the past to help finish some sets. He's got some great vintage stuff, and I've never seemed to have a problem. He's sarcastic as hell, and it reminds me of Ben, and we talked about this before the show. He's the twin of Ben somewhere. And so I don't understand. And so whatever, I'm sorry, you blocked me because I've been followed by somebody and I follow them, and, I've never had any issue with it. So I just want to know if you guys have been blocked.
I looked right as we were going live. I'm not. Ben.
I'm not blocked.
Wow. I guess I'm just
he's a military guy. He's a more recent follower. I think I might have responded to something the other day. He's friends with that Mr. Jimmy guy who I lit up the other, a couple months ago and got blocked because that guy's a knucklehead. But Cards from the Attic, and I mentioned this before the show started. I didn't like him right away. And then I realized why I didn't like him immediately was because he is me. You're sarcastic. You sense, you throw stuff out there. It's meant to be appreciated and light. You're not supposed to take anything he says serious. He is a good person in the hobby, but he's not for everyone. And that's okay. And again, he exchanged some words with this guy who's a military guy. And we've had conversations about other Twitter people that were not good follows any longer, like J Mac, that knucklehead, and the whole mail fraud. And if somebody else that I know wants to continue to be friends with them or follow them and conduct business with them, I'm not you. I don't control who you guys follow and who follows you, and it's none of my business unless it was something so grossly obvious that they did something horrendous.
Yeah, and I get that. So it's weird to me though, but it's like what I just thought. I found it interesting because I don't think I'm a rub you the wrong way guy on Twitter. I'll rub you the right way if you want. Just send me no, but it's one of those things. Like I do this. I get on there for fun, for the hobby, to talk about cards and nerd out and walk away from the BS in my normal life that that might be going on. Right, to take a break from work. Your wife's nagging you to fix the dishwasher because it's loose. And you need to an escape, right? And that's where I go for. But whatever. Sorry, you're missing out on this amazing podcast. You're missing out on my amazing tweets and insight, and no big deal.
Yeah, and see, for me, almost 100% of what I say, I stay away from politics and religion, which it's difficult for like sarcasm and humor related to politics and religion to translate well on social media platforms. So I stay away from that stuff altogether. I don't want my Twitter timeline to be serious. The majority of mine is nothing but sports and sports cards, with very few things, a couple of entertainers, maybe one or two political things, but I don't usually respond to that kind of stuff. That's just more to kind of keep in the loop.
Yeah.
Certain people. That way I don't have to log in and log out of other accounts that I have. But it's one of those things. It's social media. I know my writing is really easily misunderstood sometimes because I'm just the way I write. And a lot of times, I'd mentioned beforehand, I blocked a kid this week because he didn't understand a sarcastic tweet I had sent out about the Bears. And he completely went way over his head. And, I told him, just go away, dude. If you don't understand sarcasm, that's not my problem. But I don't need that in my life. Because, I think most of us on Twitter. Huh?
Wait, was he Sheldon Cooper?
He wasn't. He maybe in his head, but I don't have time for that. I'm 40 years old. Let's get over this, man. Let's just be on Twitter. Let's enjoy sports cards, have some fun, say some fun stuff. It's not meant to be serious.
Yeah. Well, something that I have mentioned, that I have, moving on here, that I've enjoyed, that's really been great about the hobby, and I've seen a lot of people share it lately, is a new hobby book that's out, Confessions of a Baseball Card Addict by Tanner Jones at Tanman Baseball on Twitter. You can buy it for less than $15 on Amazon. They've been rolling. The prices have kind of varied. I think I paid like 13 something the other day for it. The little quote that comes with it that talks about it. Here we go. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy baseball cards. When Tanner Jones came back to the hobby as an adult, he instantly fell in love with baseball cards all over again. In his signature comedic tone, Tanner retells his adventures in acquiring millions of cards and how he became a custom card creator. And the day he spent with his childhood hero Jose Canseco, landing in both of them on the cover of Beckett Baseball magazine. So there goes on to a lot more, but you can find this book also you can follow him at his website too at www.tanmanbaseballfan.com. We are efforting to get Tanner on the show. He and Ben have a nice, I guess, a good relationship. So Ben has one friend out there. But I'm 2 chapters into this book, and the reason being is that it's not a novel, and I don't want to sit and consume it all at one bite. I want to savor it because it's a really good book, because Tanner and I think, are very, very close in age. I'm talking like days, maybe weeks, months, close together in age. Our fathers were born in the same year, and he just lost his dad in October. And I sent him a couple direct messages, and we went back and forth just about how he dedicated the book to his dad, and it was great. And so all these things are hitting me. He lived in Kansas for a little bit, but I had moved to California, and he'd moved from California to Kansas like at the same time. So like the states, it seems like in 1990, Tanner and I were traded from California to Kansas for each other. That's what I'm going to go with right now. Don't know, but I'm pretty sure maybe a player to be named later somewhere in this deal. But it did happen. And so I'm like in this book, and I'm like dying. I'm like, oh my God, this is like, he's speaking my language. He's like, these are the same thoughts I had as a kid. And I'm sitting there at night, and I'm trying to read a chapter before bed, but then I want to read like 2 or more. And I'm like, no, I got to put it down. And he talks about his favorite card when he was a kid was an 89 Fleer Canseco. So I found one, and that's my bookmark. So that's what I'm using as a bookmark right now.
So to touch on something real quick, you got traded for Tanner. So in other words, Texas got Frank Robinson and California got Milt Pappas.
Oh, thanks.
I just want to clarify that.
And Brian here. So I guess Kansas won that trade. Sure. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, those A's cards are going to make it to you. What's funny is the other day I left. I got out of work a little early, and I snuck over to the card shop. Don't tell my wife. And I walk in, and who's in the shop? Brian and his lovely wife. I got to meet his wife, and it was awesome. It was like, oh God, so you do have a wife? She's not imaginary. That's outstanding.
Right before Christmas, Brian and I had breakfast. Our 2 families got together and had breakfast in Lodi, and you weren't invited on purpose.
That's fine.
No, I'm just saying.
But no, I'm telling you guys, spend the $15. Go to Amazon, buy the book. They ship it to you for free. You'll get in a couple of days. It's awesome.
What's funny is I wanted to talk to Tanner as well, because I had written a novel when I was off of work a couple of years ago, and had thought about going to Amazon. So I plan to pick his brain, because the problem with going on to Amazon is I believe you have to sell 10,000 copies before you can get published nationally. So there's a trick there. So it's like one or the other. But the problem is nowadays it's tough to find a publisher that's not a vanity thing. So if it's a vanity thing, you might as well just go to Amazon anyway. So hopefully Tanner can kind of fill me in on the startup cost, and I'd like to eventually get that novel
Yeah. So if you collected in the 80s or the 90s or Tanner, check it out. It's awesome. It really, really is. And I'm not just shill. I'm not like I saw a couple of, I was like, maybe I'll buy it. And then I read the little excerpt they put out, and I was like, you know what? I'm done. I got some gift cards for Christmas. Boom, bought it. And I'm very happy that I did.
One thing about Tanner too is I'm good friends with him on Facebook, and his humor is right in line with mine, and we often tag one another and stuff because it's same kind of humor, or we'll borrow, steal each other's memes back and forth to post on our respective pages. So I'm sure I've not read the book, but I'm sure it's full of humor because he's got he's got a good sense of humor. It's not juvenile. It's just corny. He reminds me of the dad jokes, the uncle in the room kind of guy. Tanner's a really funny guy.
Well, so I loved about it was the cover. So the cover is 1991 Topps. It's like 91 Topps box. So it is pretty sweet. Let me see if I can pull it up. So no, it's one of those things, and it talks about how he, his relationship and how he stayed married. The top. I think they continued cut on how he continued to stay married. So, yeah, but it looks like at the top of a 91. There we go. Steph's quick on the draw. The 91 Topps box, which was a great set anyway, and so it's super cool.
But the design cards look like 92.
Yeah. But congratulations, Tanner, in writing a book.
And Tanner and Holly are expecting, so congratulations on that as well. And their son Atticus, I believe, is like 15 or 16. So they waited themselves a little while before adding to the family.
It's always fun when you're an old dad, especially for the first.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is he's selling off his Conseco collection, so now I guess he has time for other stuff.
Yeah.
Why are you selling it off?
So we talked a little bit earlier about Upper Deck and renewing their license. They're coming up on their 30th anniversary, and today Mr. Wally Joyner was out, I guess, talking with them. But they sent out a tweet. Here's a look at one of the solicitations for 89 Upper Deck. As we enter our 30th year, the design of the product packaging initially featured Wally Joyner and a teammate on it. Great to have Wally with us tonight. This was a tweet they sent out. So I'll pull up here. The teammate was pitcher Dwayne Boyce. And he was like he was just like an average middle relief pitcher for the Angels, and so I asked Steph if he had some some knowledge of what happened with why they called him a teammate, and so he sent me right away instantly. So like seconds later, now this is why Steph should be in the hobby. The man has everything in his fingertips and keeps it in his brain. He's super smart, and he knows all the little nuances about cards. And if I was looking for somebody, Steph's the guy I'd go after. So, and I hire and fire people not all the time, but occasionally. So Steph's the guy that I would have on my short list if I was looking at a job that dealt with baseball cards and knowing the differences between them. So, but yeah, this is it has their direct sales stuff and how to buy your cases, and kind of breaks down the checklist a little bit. And it was like the funny line in here was Upper Deck Company is committed to protecting the ultimate value of our baseball cards for the end I'll go back down to customer, whether the kid off the street or the Wall Street investor. So it says our success depends on preserving the honesty and integrity in dealing with America's favorite sport, baseball. So as a kid, though, I was a kid then, I couldn't afford these packs because they're expensive. I didn't have any. I might have had one or two 89 Brett Upper Deck. I didn't have a set or buy any packs or anything until 2012 when I was in my 30s, because back then it was so expensive. Because it was like $1 to a couple dollars a pack, depending on when you got it, where you got it. And these are some promo cards here of Wally and Dwayne. So on December 23rd, 1988, Upper Deck was granted a license by Major League Baseball to produce baseball cards. Just 2 months later, on February 23rd, 89, it delivered its first 2 cases of cards to George Moore of Tulsa's baseball card store in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Upper Deck sold its baseball cards, sold out of its baseball cards midway through the inaugural year, and pre-sold its entire 1990 stock before the year began. And there was a shit ton of 1990 Upper Deck. It's never ending. I still think they're printing it.
Funny story about that later, but future show.
Yeah, the 1990 set included the industry's first randomly inserted personal autographed and numbered cards of sports superstars. All Upper Deck brands bear the exclusive trademark hologram, and Upper Deck was named the card set of the year every year from 89 to 2004. And then the wheels fell off the bus. Now, what the thing was is that how Weiss got involved. Weiss, anyway, we'll call him Dwayne. He was then a pitcher with the Angels, and he would later become one of their founding partners. In November of '87, he'd walked into the Upper Deck, a trading card store, and the owner, Bill Heinrich, noticed him, and they struck up a conversation and a friendship, and he had an autograph session out there. And then within a few weeks, he was a business partner. And so there was some issues with what he owned. I won't go into all the details, but there was some issues with how much of the company was supposed to have and be paid out. And he reportedly settled out of court for about $17 million. Now, it was supposed to be paid off in a 4-year period, but because of the 94 baseball strike, Upper Deck's business stalled, so he agreed to 6-year payment. So the sales in 95 and 96 fell so far that those 2 years, basically all of their profits went to pay him off. And on the day that in 98, when his final check was given, the company threw a party and they gave everybody a half day. And the time, the CEO, Richard McWilliam, who he told employees that it was the company's worst deal it had ever done.
So he was their Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah. And he just, taking 2 years of profits. That's insane.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of variables at play there from an economic standpoint. I mean, yeah, it sucks retrospectively when we look back on it, but that deal's a deal. Sometimes you make bad ones. I mean, look at the deals that Toys R Us and KB Toys before made with Bain Capital. Bain Capital made off like bandits, and where's KB and Toys R Us nowadays? Whoops.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Without him, they don't have a company. But with him, they just had to pay him a ton of money over a span of years, because it was his pushing with the Players Association and the league to get rights to produce cards.
I mean, it's a very expensive transaction, but one that kept Upper Deck. Upper Deck is still here as a result. I'm sure there are other variables at play that also result in Upper Deck still being a viable and sustainable, corporation. But it's one of those things, you could say it was a bad business transaction, but at the same time, was it? I mean, put them, into the position that they inevitably, ended up in.
That's one of the most classic sets of all time. Is that '89 Upper Deck, that #1 Griffey that is on there, and that really drove their product. I remember having 90 Upper Deck boxes were about $50, and I remember getting one for my birthday that year, and I didn't open it for like 3 years, because it was supposed to be like, oh, this will double or triple in the money like '89 did, and just never had it because there was so much of it made. I think 92 and 93 Upper Deck were awesome. Loved those. Those were some of my favorite sets, especially 93.
93 is better.
Tim and I are the same age, and so 89 would have put us about 5th grade or somewhere in there.
Fourth grade.
Fourth grade, 5th grade, and I remember the 89. It had such a lore about it, the Griffey specifically. Every kid on the playground. Oh, my dad just bought me 3 of them. Sure, he did. But it was an expensive card, and it was highly sought after. And one of our listeners in the chat said that he got his set for Christmas, and he still has it, and he still has not opened it. So, and it's an affordable card. You can get the 89 Griffey now, I believe, $15-$20 on average on, non-graded.
Yeah.
I got mine for $5 at the National.
Yeah, you can get them. I mean, we've all talked in the past about some of the cards we might super hoard and whatnot, super collect. But it's different if it was the one from your childhood, because the story attached to it,
means a lot.
History.
Yeah. No, the first complete set I had was my wife and I were down in went to visit my sister in San Diego. We made our way back up to LA, and she wanted to go to Disneyland, and I wanted to go to a couple baseball card shops near Disneyland. So it was a compromise. We went in, and I bought an 89 Griffey for I think 10 or 12 bucks, which was my first one ever, as Steph shows his off. And then she walked over and bought me the complete set with that because I was telling her about it. Like, I'd never had this set, could never afford it. She went over and bought me a complete sealed set. And I was blown away, and it's still sealed. And then I bought one that's open, that's unsealed, so I can binder it up so I can look at it. So I have two. So it's a great, crazy story. I mean, I think, yeah, Steph put the link in there, and we'll tweet the link out after the show, and I'll put it in the show notes on iTunes, so you guys can check it out. It's a really interesting read about Upper Deck. There's a lot of information there.
And that was just like the summary for the Dwayne Buis section, not just everything that entire article has.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one last thought on the 89 Griffey is I've got my first 85 McGuire sitting on my desk in a case because I don't want it to be mixed up with any of the other ones. I've got over 50 of them now because that was the one. That was the one I had as a kid when it was expensive, when it was a big deal to get it. All the ones I have up here on my desk, I bought for anywhere from $3 to $7. And, you know, it's different when you have these cards. And I think that's what keeps us all attached to the hobby is the history, the stories, our personal experiences, you know, from when we were kids, regardless of how old you are.
Yep.
You know, if you collected as a kid, you have that part of you inside. Like, I mean, how many times have we, you know, made the offhanded comment, you know, we have a 12-year-old inside of us. You know, it's true.
Yeah, I'm just in a big Batman's body now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Tim and I, when we went down to a Greg's shop here in Modesto, California, you know, we were just a couple of little giddy kids. It was exciting, and you know, we're want it, got it. Look at this, look at that, and you know, it's fun. It keeps us.
Yeah, no, and then I'm excited. Like, I meet with Brian and Ben this weekend, and we're going to meet at a card show. And like, there's nothing I think any of us are looking to pick up or have, but we're going to go meet each other and go look at cards and BS about cards. And I'm so excited about that. I don't care if I spend $1, right? It's getting together and trading cards and just, you know, hanging out and checking out. You know, we see it's the same dealers and a lot of the stuff's the same. And every once in a while you'll find a gem or something there. But I'm not going with any kind of a plan, you know, but it's just going to go hang out and have a good time with a couple of buddies. And that's what this is about. And getting back and getting that one card that you could never have as a kid and having it now, even though if you paid $5 for it, it's still awesome. Like, I bet Stephen super excited when he spent $5 on his Griffey.
Well, you know, the other thing too is the card show this weekend for the three of us specifically getting together. And if we rendezvous with our Scott, you know, it's kind of a watering hole. We all could go out and go to a bar, you know, but our show, or, you know, the show on Saturday is kind of that same thing. We're going to get together and geek out on a shared interest that we all enjoy. And, you know, Brian and I collect very similar, which is both, you know, a good thing and a bad thing, because of course we, you know, are in the market for the same cards, but it's fun too, because you know, Brian and I have shot a bunch of cards back and forth because we do collect the same stuff, and we have multiples of something. You know, if somebody hits me up on Twitter, says, "Hey, do you want this?" I have it. I'll either acquire it as part of something else, or, you know, because I know I can rehome it to Brian and or other collectors that I know that are also fellow A's collectors if Brian has it as well.
Yeah, and I do that too with some certain folks, and you know, they're out there. God, I keep finding George Brett collectors. I'm trying to, hopefully, you know, we can get rid of them in the hobby, and I can be the only one. What's interesting, so moving on to harken back though to some old sets. The 2019 Topps silver packs, they're going to be back. So when you go to your hobby shop and you buy a hobby box, you're going to get one pack, and if you buy a jumbo, you're probably going to get two, like they always have been the last handful of years. But this is going to have the 84 design, and they're going to be a chrome, and there's 50 cards in the set and 6 parallels. They're also going to include in autographs this year, and 37 of the subjects have autographs with 3 parallels. So check it out. So some of the interesting cards in the autograph and base set: Trout, Bo Jackson, Jeter, Ricky Henderson, Will Clark, and Mark McGwire. Like, talk about current and former just studs in the hobby. That's pretty awesome for Series 1.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lineup. So, but there's also 11 rookies included. And these are the names you need to get used to because they're going to guarantee to be in every product all year long. They spent their whole summer. They haven't been in the cages or on the mound. They've been at Topps signing autographs. So these guys, I believe, are going to be in everything because usually if these rookies in Series 1 are in this set, they're in a lot of sets the rest of the year. So we have Cedric Mullins, an outfield for the Orioles, Jeff McNeil, a second baseman for the Mets, Patrick Wisdom, a third baseman. He's in a Cardinals uniform but got traded to the Rangers. Brad Keller, a pitcher for the Royals. Chance Adams, he's a pitcher at the Yankees. Sean Reed Foley, a pitcher with the Blue Jays. Ramon Laureano, an outfielder for the Oakland Athletics. Soon to be Las Vegas Athletics. Ryan O'Hearn, a first baseman for the Royals. There's 2 Royals. Justice Sheffield, a pitcher with the Yankees. Kevin Kramer, a second baseman.
Who's now a Mariner.
Who's now a Mariner. Sorry, I forgot that. Now a Mariner. Kevin Kramer, second baseman for the Pirates. And Bryce Wilson, a pitcher for the Braves. So we'll probably see quite a bit of these guys this year. So these guys are probably going to be some of the rookies that we're going to see in Topps Living as well. So get to know them, get to love them, and just know that these are going to be your $2 and $3 autographs all year long.
So, maybe not much Sheffield, but
I'll be excited to get a Laureano. Yeah, Sheffield will be more expensive.
And doesn't Laureano have some kind of a funky nickname too, like Lazarus or something? Or
no, you're thinking of Lazaro Armenteros.
No, I don't know.
Lazarito. No, Ramon Laureano had the 360-foot throw from left center field on a dime to Matt Olson to double. That was the play of the year on MLB TV. So it'd be interesting. I was talking with a couple of different A's collectors that I know because there's Henderson and McGuire, of course. You figured they would be in this silver pack, subset, but Laureano was kind of curious because he came up. We acquired him from the Astros prior to last year. He came up. Obviously, he had a couple of significant plays down the stretch run. Big home run in extra innings for his first home run. Play at home plate to tie a game, if I'm not mistaken, and then of course that infamous laser shot from left center against the Angels. But you're just kind of curious. You'd figure there would be other players that. Yeah. It's a 50-card set. You don't necessarily need 3 A's to begin with if you're already putting McGuire and Henderson.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then also two Royal rookies. And then O'Hearn, when I have a thing about names, and if players can be stars, just if you say a name, does that sound like a superstar? Right? You hear a name and you kind of have a feeling like that guy could be a superstar. Ryan O'Hearn sounds like a guy that should have been really good, but ends up being a bust. And you're like, man, remember Ryan O'Hearn? Like if I say Greg Jeffries,
Toe Nash,
right? Toe Nash sounds like
TVP.
Yeah, Todd Van Poppel. Like that sounds like but Ryan O'Hearn saying he plays first base though, so I'm hoping that his autos are inexpensive early on. I can grab a few, and then he ends up bashing like 30 home runs and hitting the 260. So we'll see. But just a heads up for rookies to look for, and also the silver packs are cool. I pulled a McGuire out of 25 out of Series 1 last year.
Yeah, you did. That's right.
And I instantly sent a picture to Ben. I should have put the shit on eBay, but whatever. I like Ben too much, and he needed it. So that's where it belonged, right?
It's home. Yep. And I told Tim, I was like, you got to let me kick you down a little bit of money. Because, I mean, it was I would have been estimated, $60 card.
Yeah, but no big deal. It was a free pack.
Yeah.
What's that between friends? So Steph brought up an interesting question last in our little chat we always have, and I always go back to these chats because there's always good info and stuff we share between each other, and that's where we come up with infield chatter here. Is hit-driven products versus like parallels. So with some parallels fetching as much or more than autos, is there a need for hits in a base product versus parallels? So I'm gonna let him kind of like lead this discussion here.
So I bring this up because if you've been paying attention to basketball all this year, not 2017-18, you'll know that one of the few early cards to get are for the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic. Doing really well for the Mavs. Getting double feedback? Is that me?
No, it's been unplugging and running away.
How dare I see?
He must have to take a Bob Melvin.
Of course. As long as it's not a Dusty Baker. Did it. But no, with Luka Doncic cards, especially the Prism Edition, selling for 4 digits in PSA grading. Even the silver prisms, which are like the second tier up from the base prism cards, selling left, right, and center every day for tons of cash. My question was Panini versus Topps. Get my fingers centered there. Panini versus Topps. Do you even need a hit in the product if base versions like that are selling what they are?
Well, I think it's interesting because I think it's certain brands,
Sure,
certain releases that have those parallels that hold a ton of value. And we've talked about Prism Silvers before. Going back even to a few years ago, like that market has gone insane for silvers, and they're like the card to get. Nobody gives a shit about the autos anymore. It's that silver you pull. And you watch any break, they make just as big a deal about a silver or a colored pull out of that. And I think the same would go for any of those chrome products that come low numbered or different colored. That would, like building a rainbow, I think that is a lot more fun than getting a hit. But if you're in like a base product, like a flagship or a Donruss, you still need an autograph in there to drive some people to open that product.
Sure, but then you get into the whole point of how many products do you need a year?
And yeah, we have way too many as it is now.
Exactly.
We have 36 to 40 per sport. If you cut that down to 20 or 25, you could put more money and more autographs of the top guys into those other products, and make it probably a little bit more of it, and have a little bit more value built into the boxes, I guess.
Sure.
So let's redirect
because you only have so many of those high-end autos in there. What's up, Ben?
Let's redirect the question just a moment between hit driven versus a parallel. The basketball prism being the silver prism being so sought after at the moment, that is the hit. What really defines a hit? It would be something that is valued exceedingly higher than the base set itself.
Well, and you know that as our definitions, we were talking anything with a relic, anything with an auto, anything lower numbered.
Correct. So a silver prism, though, but at the end of the day, it's your return on the asset, essentially. It's you have a card regardless of what it is, whether it's low numbered or a parallel versus an auto or a relic. It's all the same. It's this product is coming out. What is what are we looking for? You see that all the time in the Facebook groups. People are like, "Hey, I'm about to buy this product. What's in it? What am I looking for? Or does this particular product have anything of substance?" And it's like, well, what exactly are you asking? Because if you buy a non-sports box, that most of them are going to include a complete base set with a bunch of inserts and then whatever the hits are that are advertised. If you're opening up anything with the silver prism, that's what you're after, or that's what you would be buying it for in addition to.
Or the quote unquote barbershop prisms.
Yeah, and it's a hit is a hit that happens to be the hit. That's the sought after product, and it's going to retain value accordingly. So based on the interest in the overall set plus the subject matter being the player.
No, I agree with all that. I think it's one of those things that you're going to have people, complain and go back and bitch and moan about it. But it's just interesting when you see these numbers of like an insert card, basically a variation of the base card, going for a few $100s instantly. It's insane. And one thing I can tell you is that I have some guys that I'm in a group chat with, and they're really into prospecting, and so they're in a lot of the Bowman stuff. Well, they were buying some retail, and they noticed the little hanger packs that have like 3 packs of Prism basketball in them that you can get at Target. They have like the colors are coming out of there, especially of Luka, more frequently. One of them bought 5 or 6 and pulled 3 Lukas, and somebody else in another state did the same thing, and they pulled 2 out of like 6 packs. So I don't know if they seem to be more loaded, but according to these guys, are spending the money and going and opening these packs. They're seeing a lot more Lukas out. And someone, one of us was lucky enough to pull a Luka insert. So he's taking us out to dinner one night.
Yeah, you wish. to make a happy deal.
There we go. Hey, that's fine. It's still out to dinner, right? No, but it's just interesting to see. So it's just a conversation. I think building a rainbow is fun. If you have one guy, or you pull, like, I know this before, like in a box of Chrome, you pull one guy and you get maybe 1 or 2 the parallels of the same guy, maybe in a guy you don't follow, but you're like, dude, let's just build a rainbow of this guy. And that's a fun little chase.
I love building rainbows. I've got quite a few McGuire rainbows going, minus, of course, the 101s and maybe out of 5s. But I have a ton, and of course, I've got a crap load of Cespedes from back in the day. They're fun to chase, especially when they are low numbered. When you get that one, you win it at auction. It's pretty exciting.
Hey, Ben, we got a little feedback that your volume left when you did. So,
can you hear me? Okay.
We can hear you. It's just really low.
Sorry, is that better?
Oh, that's a lot better.
Yep.
You just weren't in all the way.
It might be. Well, it's a little plug going into a decent sized hole.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have dealt with that problem before. Speaking of big hits and pulling out of a pack, if you pulled one of these out of a pack, your heart would stop. There was a good question posted on Twitter by I want to hope I say this right. Lingua's cards. I'm not sure. Brian Hayes. It's LINGUSA, or I'm sorry, LINGUASP card on Twitter. Brian Hayes. If someone tells you that the 52 Mantle rookie is the 50, okay. If someone, I have a hard time reading that, folks.
If someone tells you that the 52 Topps Mantle is a rookie card, don't just condescendingly reply that 1951 Bowman is Mantle's true rookie. Instead, ask that person why she thinks the 1952 Topps is a rookie card. Have a real conversation. You might just learn something.
So my question to you is the 52 Mantle is rookie, or is it the 51 Bowman?
Yes. First, let me address he's got a great point. Don't immediately just deny someone their opinion, unless they're Ben, because he's wrong. They're allowed to have their opinions, and as a great Twitter follow has said often to me, your Twitter, your rules. If someone wants to think that 52 Topps is the rookie, that's fine. It's his Topps rookie. If someone wants to think it's the 51 Bowman, it was the first released rookie. Whether you call it a XRC or an RC, whatever you want, just because it's not Topps and Topps is the only rookie card in your definition, then fine.
That's me.
But it's still a rookie. And 51 Topps was the first card released for him, so 51 Topps.
You mean 51 Bowman?
Yeah, 51 Bowman. Correct.
Oh, see, right there, you just failed. Now I can't hire you.
51.
See, so to follow up on that, Steph made all the points I would have made. 51 Bowman is his true rookie card. 52 Topps is his first Topps card. Now, Bowman went out of business, was acquired by Topps after 1955 was released.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if Bowman stuck around for another 10, 20, 30 years and had a succession, at least another 15 years, and ran through the remainder of Mantle's career, if the 51 Bowman would get more recognition, because it's not worth as much if you're just comparing what you could acquire one for.
Sure.
And so there's that as well. Bowman was short-lived right after 52 Topps comes out, and then boom, 3 more years of Bowman thereafter. Bowman was not a highly sought after. It's not as collectible, of course, as the early Topps stuff. 55 Topps is highly sought after.
Smaller size as well.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of variables at play. I do like Brian's point. Don't be, and I'm sure I'm guilty of this. Don't be quick to discount somebody's opinion. If you ask them, why do you think that? In fact, I had this question come up today. It was actually asked to Brian by somebody when he mentioned Ramon Laureano is being included in the silver pack. And he said, is that his first A's card? And I responded, I'm like, kind of, sort of, yeah. Because Ramon Laureano has not been included in any A's cards in any traditionally released set, although he has 3 Topps Now cards. So if he comes out in flagship, is that his first official A's card? Not really, because he does have Topps Now cards. But it would be the first inclusion of him in a, mass-produced set, not a print to order set, order to print set, so to speak. So, which one is which? I don't think there's a right answer or wrong answer. Remember, we spoke quite a few weeks ago on Chris Bryant having his first Bowman card. There's no right or there's no wrong answer. I mean, what do you think, Tim?
Well, I think it's a 52 Topps, just because Topps is the standard in baseball, and it's the more iconic card. And someone tweeted out today they had a bunch of different versions of the card in different colors, except for the real one. I don't remember who that was, but they had it on their Twitter feed. It was a page of Mantle rookies. It was interesting.
Not that it's definitive, and there's some not quality, but it's some pros and cons for each. These are the top sold 51 Bowman top sold 52 Topps for Mantle. I got it right that time, bitch. The Mantle is a PSA 6.5 for Bowman, sold for 42,000 and change. The 52 Topps is an SGC 7, sold for 120,000, almost 121,000.
One thing to be careful, though, is PWCC does have a lot of shill bidding, though.
I just went with what the top.
Right. No, I understand. I just want to, for anybody that's keeping score at home, they're like that other Yahoo. His name escapes me. Probe Scene.
They've been accused.
There's a lot of shill bidding. Come on, let's be serious now.
Yeah, I saw some interesting stuff there about them today. Yes. So anyway, it's a nice, neat debate to have. I don't think there's ever a wrong answer when it comes to Mickey Mantle 51 or 52s, like at all.
Well, the bottom line is if you had the money to spend, you'd buy either one regardless. Yeah. Because if the argument can be made for both, it'd be like, when people say the Topps 52 is the first release, well, there was the 51 blue and red backs. So does that count as Topps first release? Well, technically, yes, although it's not part of the flagship lineup. So, do you include them?
If we're going to be geeky enough, you don't get the Mantle. You get a 62 Roger Maris. And the reason I say that, there's an an episode of Star Trek where this guy is the super collector. He only wants one of the most rarest things that he can find. And in 24, whatever Star Trek year they were going off of, the only remaining baseball card was the 62 Roger Maris.
Interesting.
He had it framed on a wall. 2366, the only known Roger Maris card still in existence.
Yeah, you are talking geek talk right now.
Just a bit.
You probably play Pokemon or Magic too.
I did play Pokemon back in the day.
You look like a Pokemon guy. Going back to Tim's point about names, Ryan O'Hearn just sounding like a guy who should make it. Just when I see his stuff, I'm like, that's an old school Magic player.
Nope.
Yep. No, that's a guy that puts his mana on the other thing.
I'll tap your deck.
I bet you will.
All right. So, guys, we also want to talk. You guys are killing me tonight. I can't read tonight, obviously. The eyes are failing, I guess, and my extended age. But we went back and forth talking about like underrated players in the hobby. So like retired or current players we talked about, they just don't get like hobby love like we think they should. So real quick, we each have 5, and I just want a quick brief description on each one, like why you think they're underrated in the hobby. So Steph, I'll let you lead off.
Sure. I led with Whitaker and Trammell. They both should be in the Hall of Fame, whether you like it or not, especially with who was announced this past month. They both should have gone in the same election. I think it's kind of cruel to let one in and not the other. However, my next up, and an interesting factoid I saw, Joey Votto, 2008 Topps. I want to say update. Maybe it was base. But in his career, Joey Votto has seen 27,668 pitches over 6,764 career plate appearances. He has never popped out to catcher, pitcher, or first baseman. He's grounded out, but he's never popped. He's never popped out.
He's been around a while too, so it's not like he's like a third or fourth year player where the at bats are limited. I mean, he's on the backside of a lengthy career.
Yes, he is. So Canadian, so some credit there. And underrated. Coming up, I think, on 2,000 hits. Coming up on, I think, 300 home runs, 250 maybe. But his year mate, Clayton Kershaw, just from Dallas, right up the road there. Great strikeout pitcher. Pretty sweet curveball. Kind of injured recently. Does not show up in the playoffs. But his updated highlight card, especially the gold foil variation, if you can find it, it is worth a ton.
Well, one thing I can say about that, and I'm sorry to Ben Aguirre, one of our listeners here, Cardboard Icon, who loves Kershaw. I bought the update set that Kershaw's in for like $25 or $30, like 3 or 4 years ago. And then the set exploded like a year later. I had no idea because it was off my checklist, so I didn't look at it. You're such a nerd. It exploded, and I was so about that update set. I don't have to worry about trying to track that one down. But anyway, sorry.
So it's a worthy hobby edition. I don't think either you two would disagree with either of those two. But then, since I knew you guys would mostly focus on baseball and maybe basketball in Ben's case, and football in yours, Tim, I decided to go a little bit of hockey. Went with Brett Hull. His initial rookie sells for a good bit. However, kind of a hobby underrated. Went not to the University of Minnesota, but went to the University of UMD, University of Minnesota Duluth, to play his college career out. Then got played for several years for the Blues, played a few years here in Dallas, along with Nieuwendyk and Mike Modano, who's my next hobby, underrated. I mean, yeah, you have the 89 tops for Modano, but he has goals of any Michigan player, and I think he still holds the record for most points by an American-born player. But in that they were released right in that time frame of like 85 to 91, 92, their cards aren't worth nearly as much as, say, the 79 Gretzky. But they're worthy chases, and
definitely
to get out there.
All right, Benjamin, who are you on? Who's on your list? Of course, Ben couldn't list his 5 guys. I'm just gonna tell you that right now.
I couldn't. So whenever Tim gives me an assignment like this, he tells us to pick 5. It's like, well, I gotta pick like 12. I'll preface it. Keep this really quick. Is some of these guys are very similar in the hobby. They're almost duplicates, carbon copies of one another. So you could almost pick any one of them and be correct. That's the only reason I lump them together. The first one I think is grossly underrated in baseball is Orlando Cepeda. Obviously, you got McCovey, who ended up kind of taking Cepeda's spot there in San Francisco, forcing Cepeda to be traded to the Cardinals. But you have Mays, and he's the big boy, of course, one of the top 3 to 5 in the hobby, of all time. Cepeda can be had for a song in most cases, and he had a great career. Shifting to the NBA real quick, this might be a homer pick because I'm a Spurs fan, but both David Robinson and to a lesser degree Tim Duncan, just because it's a small market and they're both soft-spoken, and it's just the Spurs way. You know, you would imagine that they would get gobbled up by the bigger names of the bigger markets. I was thinking today when I was reorganizing one of my databases, I need to probably get some more Tim Duncan cards for my, NBA PC, as long as I can have them cheap.
I think I have a David Robinson for you. It's a relic.
You're fantastic. I just want to mooch you right on the cheek.
You.
Greg Maddux in Major League Baseball. I know we have a friend, Drew Williams, who collects Greg Maddux, but you're talking about potentially a top 3 to 5 pitcher of all time, depending on your personal preferences. But it just doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of Greg Maddux love out there for somebody that was so brilliant for his time and so dominant. And
when
then
a stat named off of you to throw a Maddux, you're up there.
Well, plus he has the great story of Mark Grace, where he got aroused while pitching on the mound and called Grace over and he's like, Gracie, can you just stand here with me for a minute? Like right there, and position him in front of him. And he's like, what's going on? He goes, just stand there. And Grace looks down, sees that he was aroused, and says, man, do you love pitching? One of the best stories of all time, man. Yeah. There's a group that I lump together because they're all very similar, and that's Eddie Murray, Don Baylor, Dave Parker, Harold Baines, and Edgar Martinez. Basically an 80s, 90s DH type, I think are all grossly underrepresented and underrated in the hobby. A lot of their rookie cards can be had in moderate condition for under $20, if not significantly lower, in guys like Baines and Martinez. Martinez's first rookie card, if I'm not mistaken, was 88 Fleer. It wasn't even Topps. It wasn't until 89 that he had his first Topps card. So 88 Fleer is officially.
He might have been an 88 score traded.
He was in Fleer traded. He was sitting on a bench. But yeah, all those guys are lumped together. And then my fifth and final one would be any non-skill position in the NFL. We were talking earlier about Darius Leonard of the Colts being a middle linebacker. In fact, there's an article right now on The Athletic about he and another player. I did not read the article, so I don't know the other player. But basically, it's a throwaway position, being undervalued in the NFL, but yet they're two of the Colts' most important players. And, linebackers, offensive linemen, it could be who's an offensive guard who was taken, fifth or sixth overall?
Sixth overall. They were all pro rookies. The first time since Sayers and Butkus.
You look at Leonard, who's going to be undervalued because of the position he plays, not because of his ability to be the top at that position. My wife Heather had collected Troy Polamalu for a long time when we first got back into the hobby together because she liked his hair, like what women do, and he was great in the community and stuff. She grew up as a Steeler fan, so there was a lot of connections with Polamalu. But he was a guy that was, when he had stuff out, it sold fairly well. He just didn't have a whole lot of stuff to go grab. And if you're not a quarterback and you're not really a running back or a Devo receiver, name a position in the NFL and it's probably undervalued and underrepresented in the hobby. So those are my top 5.
Yep. All good ones. I definitely agree. And I think Baylor, Parker, and Baines all replaced each other as DHs on the A's, like in that order. Like it was Baylor, and then it was Parker, and then it was Baines. If I'm not mistaken.
Baylor 89. I think it was Parker came first.
Yeah, no, but in the order. No, I think Parker was there in 89 and 90.
Parker came in 88. Okay. And then Baylor was there in 89, and then Baines was there from, I believe, 90 to 93.
Yeah.
So, but again, it doesn't really matter because they're all interchangeable, right?
Yeah, it's all the same
guy. At that
guy.
point in their career, they're the same guy. And maybe Parker had a little bit more power and Baylor had a better on-base percentage and Baines had get a lot of singles and stuff for you, but they're really the same dude and they're all undervalued.
Yep.
They're all underrepresented.
So here is my list. LeBron James, Michael Jordan. I'm just kidding. My first one's Tony Gwynn. you can get, and the reason is that the mid 80s. So his rookie cards are 83, so it's right before the junk wax era, but you can still have his rookie cards from Fleer, Donruss, and Topps, all for the $20 to $50 range on the high end, on the $50 range. But sometimes I can find them for $5 or $6 at an LCS, and they're off cut or whatever. They might have a little soft corner. But for $5, it's a great pickup. Also, too, you get an autograph of Tony Gwynn, a Hall of Famer, 3,000 hits, just a great guy, multi-time batting champion, all-star. You can find his autographs for anywhere from $50 to $100, which is ridiculous. He's like Mr. San Diego. He's he's one hell of a guy. He's one of those, and I couldn't believe that. That's insane to me. The next is Willie McCovey. We talked a little bit about him earlier this year when he passed. You can get a raw rookie of his from anywhere for $30 to $50. In one, it's a PSA 6 in the mid 200s, which for the guy that put up the numbers and had the career he had, over 500 home runs and just what he meant to the Giants, that's not unreasonable at all. And you could buy these $50 rookies that are ungraded, and they would grade out to be a 5 or 6 or 7. So. My next is the old point guard John Stockton from the Jazz. You can buy his rookies raw for about $10, or graded ones for around 50, and on autos are anywhere from $20 to $60 at the very high end. And that's just because of the product they came out of. You can have them all day for $25. He's the all-time assist leader. He's one of the greatest one of the greatest NBA combinations of all time. Stockton to Malone, franchise icon. And he's not going to do. He's a good guy, so he's not going to do anything bad.
I got a great story. I got a great story about him after we're done with this segment.
Okay. The next is one of the greatest quarterbacks to play of all time. Not the greatest, because that debate can be had 100 different ways. But Joe Montana. And you can see his rookies for about $35, $40. If they're graded, they can go up to a couple $100. But you can pick up a Montana auto for $100 to $150, which is insane. Yeah. For a guy that's won 4 Super Bowls, who was the quarterback of the 80s, who was a quarterback in the face of a dynasty, who played at Notre Dame as well. I mean, a lot of people collect just based on Notre Dame, and he won a national title there. That's ridiculous to me. That's just stupid.
And he may not be undervalued as much as he's definitely underrepresented. You just don't see a lot of his stuff hit the market.
Sure.
Yeah. And I did see Cracknell has the painting from Vernon Wells Sr. of the Montana from was a 91 upper deck that came in.
I think, yeah.
It was gorgeous. That was super awesome. And my last guy, who hopefully will be able to play in the Super Bowl this year, my only current player on here, is quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers, Phillip Rivers. You can have rookie autographs of his for about $100, and he came in 04 with Ben and Eli. But you can get a Contenders auto, which is the one you want, for about $380. And where Contenders autos of like Brady are thousands and thousands, and I know he's won a bunch of Super Bowls, but even some of the other quarterbacks, you're talking Breeze is way up there, and a few $1,000 for his autograph. When you can get this for a couple $100, and it's the auto you want, awesome. And if you don't have that, you can get a different rookie auto for around $100. That's awesome. That's a great price for a guy who, if right now, these prices could go up if he does get into a Super Bowl and he does win a Super Bowl. He has the career. He's got a Hall of Fame resume. So real quick, we have the Montana here up on screen that he bought. This is just this. And Vernon Wells' dad, the old Major League Baseball player, the Blue Jays, his dad actually did this artwork for Upper Deck back in the day. And this is a gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a really, really neat piece.
So those are my guys. I mean, and there's probably more. I mean, Dale Murphy would make a list for me, being and again, he should be in the Hall of Fame. He was a great player. I think Frank Thomas is undervalued with some of his stuff. I know it was big time back in the day, but again, he lived all through the junk wax era, so all of his things came way down. But still, a Hall of Fame baseball player, and you can have, rookies and autos for cheap unless it's the no-name tops. So
you could lump him with some of his counterparts as well. with Biggio and Bagwell and Piazza and some of the other guys that came out around 91, Chipper Jones, 91 to 94. Any of the big rookies are all kind of, they're there, but you could still have a lot of their early stuff for inexpensive.
That I think is Roberto Alomar.
Yeah,
right?
Here's another guy.
He's a Hall of Famer. It's just because when their cards came out, and Greg Maddock, Tom Glavine and John Smoltz kind of all fit that because they were rookies in 88, 89. Randy Johnson. Yeah, these Hall of Famers, and you can have their cards for quarters at some time. So,
Maddox.
Yeah, we talked about Maddox. What is the story about Mr. Stockton?
Just real quick. If you watched, I think it was a 30 for 30 on the Olympic team from 88.
Mm-hmm. No,
and he
92.
Oh, 92, excuse me, not 88. I got an 88 card here I was staring at. The 92 Dream Team. He was over there, and he walks outside, and he actually had a T-shirt on of the team. They were the caricatures of them. And so he's walking around with his wife and kids, and here's just this scrawny little white guy. And because Charles Barkley is Charles Barkley, everybody was standing outside their hotel trying to get a piece of him. And there were a bunch of people asking John, who happened to be out there walking to just kind of go take a look at Barcelona, hey, is Charles coming out? Is Charles, have you seen him? Not because he was John Stockton, but because he was just another person in the crowd, having no idea that he was who he is. And
he was filming it.
Yeah, his anonymity was fantastic. And so it's just a great story about, how you could literally walk past somebody and not know. When I used to own my coffee shop in the late 90s, right next to the Hyatt in downtown Sacramento, I've mentioned this before, the guys, all the NBA players that were visiting would come in there if they had a night off before they'd play the Kings. And there's just a bunch of these tall trees walking around the downtown plaza in Sacramento. You're going to know that they're in the NBA. You don't necessarily know who they are, maybe even what team they play for, but there's not a bunch of 6'8" to 6'10" player or individuals walking around downtown Sacramento at 8:00 at night. Not in an NBA town, and so it was extremely obvious. But John Stockton was that kind of a player in person. He was easy to get lost in the crowd.
Yep,
sure.
Well, before we leave tonight, I want to give it a shout out to my new jersey. My mom for Christmas hooked me up with a mid-'80s Royals George Brett practice jersey. It's all stitched up. It's nice. And so I bought myself a new Royals hat. It's been 5 years since I bought the last one, which my wife gave me the gift card to. But back in the day, we weren't dating. We were just friends, and we exchanged gift cards for Christmas. And I bought a Royals hat with that gift card and just replaced it because it's all grimy and stunk. And she said my head smelled when I wore it. So because it's loved. So I had to buy a new one. I got a new hat, new jersey for the new season.
Oh. Yeah, that's like the right color, but he didn't get powder blues and wrong team.
Oh, I have a powder blue Brett jersey. It says Kansas City. I'll wear it on Saturday.
Maybe they'll break 68 wins this year for you. Hopefully. As a way of celebrating.
Yeah. But guys, if you don't have anything else, we'll head out tonight. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We had higher numbers than ever, I think, watching live, so we appreciate that. But we also love our listeners who listen to the show later. Be careful if you're watching and driving. Good Lord, that scares me when I get those photos, but because I do that sometimes too. Well, again, everybody, thank you, and keep keep sharing your hobby stories with us, your great polls, and send the questions our way. We love it, or give us some insider things you see about the hobby, because we'd love to talk about it and share that. But remember, as always, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. here on YouTube. And make sure to subscribe and review our show on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. You can always follow us at About the Trading Cards. You can always follow Ben at Our Trading Cards. You can follow Steph at Junkwax Twins, and follow me at Big Shep 79. And BigShepsCards.com is getting updated after I've gone through a bunch of piles here in my room of people have been amazing in making trades, just sending me cards I needed from sets on there. So I need to update my lists. And so those will be updated hopefully next week, and that will be up to date. My goal really is to keep that very updated this year as I do get cards in to mark them off. And Brian, yes, we will see you on Saturday. Robert, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Again, everybody, thanks for participating in the chat. And then I don't have anything. You guys, we're good?
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
All right, we'll keep collecting and send us your stories because next week we don't have any new releases to talk about. So give us some content, share us things with us, and let us know. And keep collecting. And we'll see you next week, guys. Have a good one.
Sounds good.